We teased our next speaker actually before briefly in the executive roundtable because we were talking about government regulations very briefly. And our next and final speaker of the day is going to give us some insights now and perspectives on a variety of robotics topics, including the government perspective. He holds a degree in economics and applied linguistics, and he's headed various European trade associations. He's a member of the International Federation of Robotics, and his main areas of interest are robotics in the future of work, robotics in recruitment, and also the combination of robotics and AI. And for the past 20 years, he's been an expert in factory automation, robotics, and image processing at Vdma, the Machinery and Equipment Manufacturers Association. So, please welcome now Managing Director, Vdma Robotics and Automation, Patrick Schwarzkopf.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Hi.
Patrick. Hello.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, can you hear me? It's good? No? No, I think so, yeah. Yeah, I'm Patrick. I'm from the Vdma. Many of you will know the Vdma. It's Europe's largest engineering association with 3,600 member companies. And it's subdivided in 36 trade associations under one roof. One of them is Vdma Robotics and Automation, based in Frankfurt, but have offices in Europe and in North America and Asia. Represent the European robotics and automation industry with 400 member companies from robotics, machine vision, and assembly technology. So we do what associations do. We do market statistics, trade shows like the Automatica, which we created together with Messe Munich, standards development, research, and many things. We also do what people call lobbying or interest representation, so the dialogue with policymakers. And this area of work has grown tremendously in the last 2 years. So today I will talk about the first part, the discovery of robotics by politicians. Because I've been doing this job for 25 years with the Vdma, we never had access to politics. Okay, Industry 4.0 was very important. Yes, it was nice to be as a chancellor in Hanover and be on a photo with a robot. But if we came to Berlin, or maybe in Europe was a bit better, but robotics wasn't that big of a topic. So that all changed. So that's the first part. And the second part, we see there's a new breed of robotics coming. A fundamental change, how robots are controlled, how they're taught, how they're used. And there's tremendous investment, money, venture capital, going into a new type of robotics. And so I'm asking the question here, are we ready for this race? So these two parts for my presentation. So what changed was 2 years ago or so, the Federal Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, said AI-based robotics is a really important topic for Germany. And he gave the job to Akatech, which also came up with the Industry 4.0 concept years ago, and said, I want a paper on AI-based robotics. And they interviewed like 60 people, heavily research-oriented, but were also interviewed. And so this is the Future Council of the Chancellor. And you see very important people there. And I don't have access, but, they talk about robotics, AI-based robotics, life sciences, and a few other topics that are really crucial for Germany's technological success. And so we were invited into the Chancellery. So Scholz wasn't there, but high-ranking people. And that dialogue started about 1.5 years ago. And it's a very important dialogue, I should say, because this here shows the annual industrial robot installations. And you can see here from maybe 2013, 2014, China, US, and Europe are basically at the same level. And then from about 2014, 2015, you just see China taking off. And every year China installs 51 or 52% of all robots installed in the world. and the rest of the world installs about 48%, which is tremendous. And China is preparing itself for the demographic problems they're running into big time because they had a one-child policy and so on. And the robot density, we said, China is going to overtake Germany very soon. And Helmut said it today, exactly this. And I have the latest figures now, not published yet from the IFR. So in 2023, last year, there were 470 robots used in China per 10,000 employees in the manufacturing industry. The year before that was 402. And it has overtaken Germany in robot density. So now, with 429 robots as a robot density in Germany, that has grown from 417 to 429, but in China it grew from 402 to 470. So in last year we were overtaken by China, and China is now in third place after Korea and Singapore, and Germany is in fourth place. And now we have the situation that China is more heavily automated than Germany. So maybe we should think about what can we do about this. And so there are basically 4 challenges that we see. I think you know them. You have climate neutrality, sustainability, you need circular economy, you need fuel cells, you need hydrogen economy, batteries, e-mobility and all that. We need automation to make this economically viable. We're sitting on a demographic time bomb. We don't have enough people. It will limit the potential for GDP growth in Germany and in Europe. And also, look at lab automation. We don't have enough people. The baby boomers, my generation, will leave. There's nobody in the blood labs. You need your blood test. It's a matter of life and death. And you need that test within 24 hours. We need to automate. We need lab automation to deal with this problem. And we have a lot of areas where we don't have enough people, and therefore we just need to do something about it. Resilience, sovereignty, that's the Suez Canal. There's now shortages in prescriptions and what have you. So we need reshoring. So we need to produce stuff more closely to home. And that's going to be done with robotics and automation. And just competitiveness, yes, we need robots to be competitive. So we wrote in a hurry a big strategy paper, Robotics and Automation 2028. We did not want to call it the 5-year plan of robotics. So we said 2028 is the same thing. But we did that, and we handed it over to the German government in June 2023. It was the time of Automatica. It has the timeline of 5 years, and it has 4 fields of action. I don't have the time to go into it, but you can read it on vdma.org/RU8 2028. I think you get the slides anyway. It's available. I have to be quick because it's a lot in 20 minutes to cover. So the German government has really then, I must say, really done a lot in a short time. Yeah. First of all, the BMBF, that's the Ministry for Research and Education, came up with an action plan for AI-based robotics. It's only 20 million euros, but they said we need to connect and bundle all the cutting-edge fundamental and applied research in Germany so that we have like a Stanford or an MIT. We have all that stuff, but it's a little bit here, it's a little bit there, and nobody knows it. It's not a brand. So we need a brand for this, and we need to have an umbrella that kind of connects that into one network that will attract talent from all over the world. And that's the RIG, the RIG, the Robotics Institute Germany. Yeah? And that has just started in July. It's 10 universities, associated partners, and it will run for 4 years. Early days, we'll see what happens. But that was a result of the activity of the Future Council of the Chancellor. Many of you will have heard of it. The second thing is very interesting, I'm very proud of it. It's the project ROCS. So the Future Council said we want an industry consortium where actually the customers, the users of robotics, will define their pain points. And that is really application-oriented. So we have said, okay, we find that's a good idea. They named it a robotope, like a robotics ecotope, whatever. But basically, it's the idea you have a consortium where the users of the automation technology call the shots and says, this is not working today. This is what I need. Do it for me, please. And this is exactly what happened. And in really China's speed, I must say, this was a setup with 24 partners plus 8 associated partners. So we have Wirth, Mercedes-Benz, Fiege Logistics, Boehringer, Wacker Chemie, Rheinmetall, really also Lidl and all these companies. And they have 4 use cases in that project. Loading and unloading of containers automatically with robots, not an easy job. Commissioning and kitting within manufacturing. High mix, low volume automation, new concepts. And also use case 4, AI-based virtual commissioning. The idea is you have a product you want to produce and the AI will give you a design of an automation solution, which you can look if that will work or not. To make the integration or the setup of an automation system a lot cheaper and a lot faster. Yeah. So this started in the 1st of September. Only had a few months to prepare it. It's still totally chaotic, but everybody rolled up his sleeves or their sleeves, and it's really fantastic. And Vdma is also a partner, so we're trying to get all the work that we've done in developing OPCUA companion specifications for robotics and automation, all the semantic models that we have, that will be a big part of the ROC's core model, so that we can access data very easily so they can be used by AI. So we're super excited about this. And this is the favorite project of Olaf Scholz. He talks about it. Habeck talks about it. That's a big thing. And also, the volume is about almost 60 million. That's huge. So it's about a little bit less than 30 million in funding, and then what the partners bring in. So you'll hear about ROCs a lot in the future. Another thing which the government wants to do, which we don't really want to do, is to come up with some kind of frankly crazy idea of using some NCAP crash test system to qualify robotics as very good or better or And we said this is not working with industrial robots. A robot is safe, or robot solution application is either safe or it's not safe. You can't say it's a little bit safe or a little bit more safe or is that no, we have the ISO. We don't think this is a good idea, but for professional service robots are ready to use, how good is the interface, how reliable is it, how safe is it? Maybe there's a quality seal that's coming. I'm not spending more time on it, just so you know. But I mean that headline here, Wirtschaftsministerium plant crash tests für KI-Roboter, says it all. So Economics Ministry plans crash tests for AI robotics. That's the kind of headline I don't want to read. But the government also said we want an annual robotics conference in Berlin, and they did it in record time. It was there in June, and that was organized. 300 people there. It was fantastic. And in that time, we had our annual review meeting with the German government, where we talked about what is the progress, where do we need to do more, and so that was 4 ministries and the Chancellery. And we came up with 6 requirements. We said we need more competitiveness for the Standort Deutschland, so Germany as a place to do manufacturing industry business. We need to take measures for more venture capital, especially for scaling startups. And there something has happened tremendously, maybe, because France has had a brilliant idea to say, we have enough money, there's so much money, and that money is with institutional investors, like Allianz, pension funds, whatever. We need to change a little bit the regulation so these guys can put a little bit more of their trillions I'm not talking about billions, trillions of euros they're sitting on, into innovation. And this has happened in France, which has already, in just 3 or 4 years, they had 6 billion euros additional venture capital. You can really see it. It's overtaken Germany. And Germany is doing the same thing now under the WIN, W-I-N initiative. Yeah. So we want to participate, policymakers to participate at Automatica in Munich. We want a national strategy for humanoid robots in Germany. And we want to push automation technology to scale the hydrogen economy. And for Germany, we want to have 10,000 makerspaces at schools to foster and nurture the next generation of techies, which we need. Yeah. Otherwise, this is not going to work. We're doing a European strategy paper as well, because we're a European organization as well. I can't go into this. Basically, the same ideas. This will be published at the end of the year, and this is targeted towards the EU, like the Commission and so on, but also to every European nation. And the basic requirement is that every country should have a robotics strategy in place. Denmark probably has it. Germany now has it too, more or less. But maybe Romania or Bulgaria, there's a lot to do, and every country can do something. So, a new breed of robotics, only 5 minutes left. Are we ready for the race? So basically, we have new types of robots. It's energy robotics. We have robot dogs. They can walk steps. This is in use in critical infrastructure. Yeah. We have different types of robots, like the EvoBot from Fraunhofer. So there's more agility. I think it's a very clever little gadget. And we have robot dogs that actually have not only legs, but also wheels. Like the Swiss Smile, just produced, yeah. It's quite impressive. We have, of course, you know, the humanoids, the first deployments in industry, like here, agility robotics. Yeah. So then we have a lot of service robotics coming up with a close interaction of humans and machine. And so what does that mean? What is that new breed of robotics all about? And Rainer Brehm said a few things the other day, is that at the end of the day, I don't want a rule-based, but a goal-based automation. He also said, we don't want to train the object, we want to train the skill of handling, of doing something. Or automating the unpredictable. And Jensen Huang, you probably know this quote, said, the ChatGPT moment for robotics may be right around the corner. And some of you will be engineers, you know this, but you have deterministic system. Every movement is predetermined, it's clear. And then you have, on the other hand, like a AI use, neural networks, like more of a black box approach. And this is an example from the DLR, German Aerospace Center. You give this gripper, this hand, a cube, but it's not predetermined how you give it to the hand, and it's not predetermined in which direction the hand turns it. Like a kid would do it, huh? And so that's a non-deterministic system. So when we used AI in the last years, we were using it more for classification. Is this a cat? Is this a dog? Does this bathtub have a scratch, or does it not have a scratch? And now we're moving to generative AI. You give a prompt, dog, and the generative AI makes a picture or a video or something. Is this real or not? Who thinks it's real? Who thinks it's AI generated? It's real, it's my dog. So. But you know, you have a prompt, like you write something in ChatGPT. But what could come out in robotics is a movement of a finger, an arm, a leg, a wheel. handling objects, the skill of walking, the skill of speaking, the skill of navigating autonomously, the skill of generating code, keeping balance, avoid collisions, dexterity, yeah, or flexibility. Yeah. And so we have a situation where we move from programming to imitation or transfer learning. People who wear a motion track suit, and that's the prompt to the robot, or you have telemanipulation, and these data is the prompt for teaching a robot skills with foundation models. They're more generic skills. Or you just have observation of humans in videos or with cameras. Or you move to the totally virtual sphere. I think you've seen that from NVIDIA, where you train with realistic models the AI. Yeah? So, and then I want to make a comparison which I think is important. So, it's 2014, I'm at Automatica. Nelly Kroes, European Commissioner, comes and says, I inaugurate Spark. It is the largest civilian-funded robotics innovation program in the world. 700 million euros for the next 8 years or 7 years. Now, we have one AI startup in the US, barely 2 years old, 1.5 years old, which raises the same amount of money in the B-series round. And this should make us think, because there's just so much investment going in. Also, the Chinese government has a very clear-cut strategy for humanoid robotics in China. They have a goal. So I think the new way of learning, of teaching robots, will also have a big impact on, eventually, on how we use traditional industrial robots. Yeah. And it's not about the leg, it's about the upper body. It's about eye-hand coordination. And that is equally interesting for a cobot that's just stationary. So all the discussion that legs are unnecessary is distracting us from the discussion I think we should have. Now, so, what's it gonna be? Are we voraus, ahead, leading the revolution? Or are we behind and trailing behind? So with this question, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Nice to know what your dog looks like.
Sorry, 2 minutes too long, but...
No, that's fine. Now we know what your dog looks like, so that's okay. And it was great to see those statistics there, and I think they really underline, especially what Helmut was saying in the roundtable, about the competitiveness of Germany compared to the rest of the world. Again, one eye on my watch. Maybe we can squeeze in one question. Who's going to be the lucky person in the room who gets to ask it? Does anyone have a question for Patrick?
Scared you all.
They're all hungry, aren't they? That's also fine then. I'm sure, Patrick, are you hanging around later on?
I'm hanging around.
You're here? Okay, so in case anyone has anything for Patrick, then please just approach him. And yeah, thank you again. Great insights there from the Vdma. Thank you, Patrick Schwarzkopf.